there's a very potent saying that you carve your goals in concrete
Yeah.
and plans in sand.
Wow.
One thing which he came out with very heavy emphasis is that, look, strategy is strategy in a box until it is delivered and
Yeah.
delivered to the last mile. And in fact, Google took the leadership role in introducing OKRs to the world.
Yeah.
And then, after that, some very successful companies like Amazon, like Intel, like LinkedIn, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and many successful companies, have followed suit. But the important question which comes to our mind, that why these very successful companies have this common denominator of OKR. What is the magic?
Hello and welcome to another fantastic episode of Joy of Performing podcast. This is a place where we learn all about how to use OKRs or objectives and key results and several other productivity hacks to boost productivity of your employees at workplace and also to find joy in your work. Today our guest of honor is one of the co-founders of Joy of Performing. He's a gentleman with a track record of 40 years in the industry. His stunning track record and success rate he attributes to is in finding ability to align large teams towards goals and helping them achieve those goals successfully. Our guest of honor today is Rakesh Sarin. He is currently also co-founded two other startups called Carbon U-turn Technology in net zero carbon emission space and WellM. It's a wellness platform meant for improving your health, both body and mind, in a holistic way. But his track record in the industry has given him enough experience and convinced him that it is important to align large teams by helping them set specific goals in influencing and inspiring them to meet those goals. He has held senior level executive and C level positions in companies like Indian Oil Corporation, Caltex Business Solutions. He was the president of Energy Solutions and executive VP on board of management at Porcella Corporation, a big name in maritime and energy. He's also been the CEO at Suzlon Energy, one of the leading renewable energy solution providers in the world. He is advisory board member at O2 Power, which is again one of the fastest growing clean energy platforms. It's not just that his career in wellness and in human productivity and in clean tech and renewable energy has taught him how execution eats strategy and culture for breakfast, if you will. If you listen to him as we go through the podcast, he gives several amazing case studies and interesting stories about how he achieved these results using goal setting and productivity and growth hacks, of which he thinks OKR is one of the most promising ways to go about. So let's bring on Rakesh Sarin, our guest of honor today, and let's hear it from him.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction.
Awesome. So, Rakesh, I know I gave a very brief introduction. It's not a justification for all the positions you've held. So, let's talk about your journey in Indian Oil Corporation, Caltex Business Solutions, Wärtsilä, Suzlon, AGI Greenpack, O2 Power, and today you're the founder chairman of WellM and also co-founder of JOP. So, let's hear it from you who you are, who's the man behind all these wonderful experiences, the wonderful leadership positions you've held. Tell us a little bit about your journey, your career, and why you are convinced about being co-founder of JOP, the OKR platform we're going to talk about.
So, Vida, you asked a lot of interesting and intriguing questions. And if I take a step back and think about who am I, so I love growth. I've felt growth, while working in my large, career over 4 decades. At the same time, I love people who are behind the growth,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
starting from myself
Mm-hmm.
and then, the whole team, because growth is not magic. It is supported
Yeah.
by well-aligned teams who are
Yeah.
driven, who are passionate, and who works in a direction which is meaningful.
Yeah.
So starting on a simple stuff is that it's very, very important that I keep myself fit,
Yeah.
not only physically but
Yeah.
also
Men-
emotionally and mentally. And for leadership, this is, I would say, is the most aspect that a leader has to keep himself or herself absolutely, you know, with no fog, good mental wellness, emotional wellness, and if one can add spiritualism, a dash of that, plus the physical fitness is extremely important. So that's a starting point.
yeah.
Then, I also see that leadership, and right now, let me talk starting from leadership. And when I'm talking of leadership, it's not only the big leaders, but I believe every individual in a company
Yeah.
is a leader in her own right and
Yeah.
own ways.
Yeah.
So, leadership is extremely important from the point of view of understanding the vision,
Yeah.
understanding what is that mission, which is really, if repeated day on, day in, day on, it leads towards a vision. And
Yeah.
from there, if we can draw a strategy,
Yeah.
then drill it down to different formats. Like in last 40 years, I've seen different formats which have come and gone. And now we are talking of OKRs. I
Okay.
started from an era when, they used to be performance appraisals,
Yes.
where at the end of the year, you have to write what all you have done against
Mm-hmm.
what was your uh, kind of goal,
Yeah.
individual. And then the manager would rate you, and basis that, you get your rating and all. Then it
Yeah.
moved to a better kind of performance management, which was
Yeah.
static.
Yeah.
I worked extensively on a European system of performing and driving teams called EFQM. And then, the era of balanced scorecard came in, where they started, giving importance to the numbers, the financial numbers, on the systems, processes, special projects. And the
Yeah.
third element of a balanced scorecard is, because it has to be balanced, is a people element.
Mm-hmm.
Then, there was era, and even now the agile working and the flow of work. And in fact, Google took the leadership role in introducing OKRs to the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Google being Google, one of the most successful company, they must have tried many a things, and they zeroed down on OKR. They
Yeah.
kept believing on OKR. So their leadership, like John Doerr, who also has written a very good book, Matter What Measures, uh,
Measure
Measure
what
What
matters. Measure what
Yes.
matters. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they must have tried and tested a lot of stuff, and ultimately they found wisdom in adapting OKRs.
Yeah.
And then, after that, some very successful companies like Amazon, like Intel, like LinkedIn, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and many successful companies, have followed suit. But the important question which comes to our mind, that why these very successful companies have this common denominator of OKR? What is the magic?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So that's a very great segue into why you believe in OKRs. Let's try to get to the story of how you started JOP, Joy of Performing. You're a co-founder of this company, and how does this company differentiate itself from other players in the market? Why do you think this is a platform that leadership should subscribe to?
You know, there's a very potent saying that you carve your goals in concrete
Yeah.
and plans in sand.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing
And
analogy.
it's so your goals should be very firm, but since the world is changing faster and faster and faster, So the uncertainty is on the rise.
Yeah.
Now, all good companies have their vision, they have their vision, and they are broadcasted and people look at that. But if I may ask you, you have seen Moon, all of us have seen Moon,
Yeah.
and there are different craters, and impressions what you get. So, what is it that you see in the Moon?
Yeah, there is a very big pattern on the moon, which every child can see even with the naked eye. That's what we remember about the moon, right?
Yeah. So some people say it's a granny, some
Yeah.
people say it's a rabbit, some
Yeah.
people say it's a romance and scenery,
Yeah.
and I can go on and on.
Yeah.
So it's the same vision, but people have their own perception
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
Likewise, in especially I'm talking about the large companies.
Yeah.
So there's a vision up there, and then people, end of the day, they form their own perceptions.
Correct. Correct.
So what is very important is that this vision has to be casted down
Yeah.
to each and individual level.
Yeah.
And not only that, it is also to be linked to the mission. That means that what should I do today
Yeah.
so that tomorrow my company is able to move towards a vision.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
if there are only a few people who understand this,
Mm-hmm.
then naturally there is an issue.
Yes.
And if everyone understands that in the same manner, then
Yeah.
what happens is that there's a momentum,
Yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are doing in OKR, and I'm not saying it's done only in OKR. They have been the earlier systems also. It happens. I'm only talking of the improvements what we are making in our system. So what we
Yeah.
are doing out here is that from the vision and mission, we draw a strategy.
Mm.
Strategy again, is can be built in the boardrooms, it can be built in the conference rooms. One thing which he came out with very heavy emphasis is that, look, strategy is strategy in a box unless until it is delivered and
Yeah.
delivered to the last mile. And the strategy you cannot deliver by yourself. It has to be taken care by each and every member of the team if that strategy has to move fast.
Yeah.
So in OKR, what we are doing is that from the strategy, we are building the key results, meaning the measures. Like John Doerr says, measure what matters. So
Yeah.
we measure things, and now that is transferred into actions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what actions do I need to take so that I'm able to deliver these numbers, I'm able to shift the needle?
Yeah.
And this is done at the high level. Now, from there, it's a mother, daughter, and a grandmother, daughter, and mother. In that way, it is cascaded down to the last person, who's involved actively in that project.
It is sent across hierarchy, multiple people
Yes,
in different hierarchies,
multiple
right?
people, cross-functional, because today all
Cross-functional.
the projects are not done by one person or one department. They're all cross-functional projects.
Yeah.
Now, another very important aspect out there is that these teams are not at one place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
More of virtual working is coming in.
Yeah.
And if there is a small team, let's say there's a startup of 5, 10 people, still, one can work with the Excel sheets and all. And it is out there very clearly. But in a large company with multiple verticals and multiple geographies, and if it is a cross-border project, for strategic importance, this alignment becomes extremely important.
Yeah.
How am I aligning this project? And another very important aspect, what we take in OKRs is that it is a short span. Our mind can see very clearly up to 90 days. So typically it's a quarterly goal, and that aligns very well with the way the trade and commerce is going in today's world. And this is even 90 days getting shorter and shorter and shorter. in terms of aligning people and delivering results from our various projects.
Wonderful. So, okay, so the JOP platform is very customized to this quarterly vision. Is that what you're saying, or it's easy to get on the quarterly vision with this? Uh,
So you can do all this through some Excel sheets or a Google space.
right.
Gets If there's a very small company, one can do that, although it
Yeah.
may not be that efficient.
Yeah.
But if there's a large company, with
Yeah.
multiple verticals, multiple geographies, cross geography, then uh, Excel is not the answer. Google Sheets not the answer. You need
Yeah.
to have a smart
It's not.
platform which
Yeah.
can help you
Yeah.
in aligning uh, the teams, collaborating the teams, have meaningful actions which are linked to the key results, and then you can assign those actions to your other colleagues. So there are various aspects which get inbuilt intelligently into the product, and that's what this idea. When we had discussions together, we huddled together between the four co-founders. We thought, why not we create a product? And it's not a rocket science, but the rocket science behind job is that we have put our best intention, and that is also delivered in terms of creating a very simple format which
Yeah.
people can use easily. So our UI UX is pretty comfortable and easy for people to use.
Wonderful. So,
Yeah.
so tell me, Rakesh, you've clearly stated why it is important for us to have some form of goal cascading to from top layer to the grassroots level. Why it is important. You've stated that, and how it is done using tools. You kind of hinted at that. Tell me, what do you think is the most important aspect of driving growth using OKR? Like, what is like absolute must do? What would happen if you don't do that? What is the most important aspect driving OKR?
So the most important aspect, if you ask me, and if I have to pick up one, out here, is a leadership. You see, OKR
Mm-hmm.
is a mission which also needs a change behavior.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
OKR
Yeah.
cannot work unless until the leadership sees value in it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would have never come to the surface if the Google leadership had taken that conviction that it can help us grow to the stage where they are
Absolutely.
today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at times, these fancy things are adopted in the organizations, but if the core leadership team is not believing in that and
Yeah.
driving this change, uh, taking bull by the horn,
Yeah.
uh, first in the queue,
Yeah.
uh, this would be sadly a waste of time and energy.
Absolutely. And I feel that when I work with people who give me OKR tools, the leadership from that company is very driven and they are so enthusiastic about it. That's why I feel like going and updating my OKRs. If the leadership is not behind it, anybody else, like I work as consultant, but anybody else, even the employees will not be. And what I feel is companies that are successful in OKRs, employees are equally enthusiastic. They are also enthusiastically updating, and it's like a lifestyle for them. Anything they do, they update, and they care about the reviews they get on OKRs or the scores on OKRs. So definitely, I'm sure that in your long career, you've had different kinds of growth management solutions. So tell me, give me a few examples. On this note, like you said, you talked about leadership and everything. How was it managing growth in your long career? So let's start with you've spent a good amount of time in Indian Oil Corporation, and then you're country manager at Caltex Business Solutions, and I feel that your longest stint was at Wärtsilä. It's a Finnish company, and you managed operations across 170 countries. That is humongous amount of leadership and operations workload. So So tell me, like in your long career, how did you use growth solutions and growth metrics, and how would OKRs have made a difference?
So interestingly, at any given time uh, in space, we have interesting things and things are innovating and improving.
Yeah,
So, as I mentioned earlier, starting from appraisals, to performance management, to balance scorecard, EFQM. So these are good tools, and
correct.
and companies,
Yeah,
very large companies, have managed by that. And I'm not at all
yeah,
saying that they are bad; they are good. But now they're even better solutions which are in front. And one difference, what I see between the, say, a few decades back and now, the agility has increased many folds.
yeah,
The speed of
yeah,
change is much, much faster thanks to
absolutely,
the internet.
absolutely. Yeah,
And therefore, our tools have to collaborate with
yeah,
that kind of agility. So
absolutely.
I remember I did a project in 2007,
Yeah.
say 15 years back. And the project was a global project. I was based in Helsinki, and we decided to build scenarios around uh, how would electricity be produced and consumed in 2023. And
Wow.
interestingly, we are today sitting in 2023.
2023. Wow.
Yes. So we were to create that scenario. And scenario means, the difference between goals and scenarios is that the goals, when we set goal for 3 months goal or 1 year goal, goals are definitive, and we go towards goal. So
Yeah,
these are we take as certainties.
yeah.
Uh, so we look at the goal and we try to achieve that. Whereas scenarios, so there could be a 15-year scenario what we built. For example, Shell built scenario of 2050, and now net zero scenarios we are talking about 2070, and even more longer. So in scenario, what we do is the scenarios are built on the base of uncertainties, and you take the
Yeah.
uncertainty pillars and then see. For example, in Vatsala, we came up with three scenarios about energy. One was a green Earth. Second was a blue globe, and the third was a gray world.
Mm.
And interestingly, now when I see and we track those scenarios, and these scenarios are important because then if you have to take an investment decision, or engage customer interactions, or look at the future strategies, they become very, very important. So it was a extremely important project from the strategic angle. And
Yeah.
I was leading that project in association with Oxford University Side Business School. And we put together a team of, if I remember, about 18 people coming right from Japan, South Korea, India. We had from Singapore, then Europe, Germany, going to Brazil, Argentina, USA, and all. So we assembled kind of a squad team together. And the
Yeah.
idea was that this team will work on these scenarios over and above whatever our job is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was a 1 year project. Now, if you ask me, my biggest challenge was not to build a scenario,
Hmm.
because there's a method, and we had very sharp people. So these people were picked up from, they were the best of the best. Uh, and so my biggest challenge was that how do I put people together? Although we were physically meeting at one place, anywhere in the world, east, west, in the center, once every 2 months. But still, because people were busy, they were doing their own kind of course. So, how do I align people?
Yeah.
How people can see each other's progress? How do I see who's laggard
Mm.
and who's now
Yeah.
completed that task? Because it is like laying the brick. And
Yeah. Yeah.
there were
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
such kind of issues which came. We tried to handle it because that time also we had internet and stuff like that. But now, when I look back, and if we had a tool or
Okay.
a product like what we have today, instead of 1 year, I think we would have done it maybe in 6 months or 8 months, and even the quality could have been better, and our expense could have been maybe half of what we spent at that time. It had a big budget, with me.
Mm.
So, meaning, what I'm trying to say is that this need of alignment,
Yeah.
the need of people seeing the rabbit on the moon,
Yeah.
whether I'm in Argentina or I'm in Japan or I'm sitting in Amsterdam, is very important. Because if I start seeing a man in east and a granny in the center and a rabbit in the west, you
Yeah.
can understand what will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no,
So
absolutely.
this way of working is aligning in a beautiful manner. The
Yeah.
other very important thing which was happening at that time, when we were building scenario, so someone has done the complete market research, on the solar and the solar price cost curve and the battery curve and all. The other guy was to do maybe on the hydro and maybe on the to interview say 50 top scientists of the world, but there was a big time lag and they were very inefficient,
Yeah.
making calls
Mhm.
from here to there. Whereas in a OKR system, we have all these
Yeah.
transparency coming up without wasting the third person's
Yeah.
time, second person time.
Yeah.
So the whole
Yeah.
team binding,
Absolutely.
and I'm giving a very simple example right now, the team of 18 people. But believe me, all large projects are built by small teams. Even if you
Yeah.
have to send a man on the moon, there are small teams working, and then small teams put together become a more at a high level team, and there are few teams, and then they become the higher level teams.
Yeah.
Now, is an inbuilt mechanism on this tool that how to integrate these people who are at the bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah.
They're aligned to the apex,
Yeah.
and then how they are moving on to the next level and the next level, and this whole pyramid is like laid, brick by brick, and they're fully aligned and they're locked.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is the beauty which comes out. Now, if the leadership who's at the apex
Yeah.
is not able to visualize this,
Yeah.
because today people get a lot of excitement, looking at and hearing things out. And this thing, believe me, to implement this, to build conviction, it'll take at least 6 months. So someone has to have that patience and agree that this is a way of onboarding, this is a way of change management, and then the results start coming out.
Yeah.
So this is one example, I have to say where I can easily see the cost saving in millions of dollars and the time saving, which is even more important, and the quality, etc., etc. Uh, so this is for building a strategic project, not not a brick and mortar thing, but
Yeah.
a strategy document. Second example I can give you, we had a, a linkage between the three championships linked to growth conclave. And as you can understand from growth, is a growth conclave means the conclave which brings growth. That's the focus of that. So
So
they were
what was
about,
where was this growth conclave held, and which organization was this
so
when
again,
you had?
I'm narrating to right now two organizations in Vatsala and Suzlon. Uh, so we and in Vatsala, our value system used to be triple E, energy, excellence, excitement. Energy means look at opportunity, take action, make it happen. It was full of energy, no passiveness in this. Excellence is do better than best. And whether it is your behavior, whether it is your how you shake your hand or how you offer your product or how you treat the customer. So that is excellence. And excitement is where you are able to build energy, in the teams. So there are people when they walk in, the room gets lightened up, the
Yeah.
excited. And there are people when they walk out of the room becomes
Dull.
illuminated. So,
Okay.
so there are different kind of people. So how do we ensure that the teams are fully energized? And trust me that this emotional energy, the mental well-being, they plays such a heavy role, not only for the individuals but also a leverage, the biggest leverage for the leadership.
Yeah.
So there, what we said that if you get the way we said that we going to have three kind of projects. One is a
Yeah.
project which builds revenue,
Yeah.
that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Second is a project, which is customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
Third is kind of a project which essentially saves cost, improves productivity, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the way we set the measurement was that if it is your idea, you get low mark. If it is your team's idea, somebody cross-border team, you get high marks rating. And if it is a customer idea that you are implementing, you get the highest marks. So we start
Mm,
listening to the customers.
I love this.
What other things, but I'll cutting long story short. So
Mm,
people, about 1,000 people started working on these projects. Again, this was not part of the job, but they were allowed to use resources and money to do it in their free time.
mm,
And I remember in about two years' time, we had something like 1,000 projects which came up on the surface. Now,
wow.
the best of these projects were taken to the growth conclave, where they'll set up a stall and then show that this is how my project is, and we'll have the winners and blah blah blah. But imagine now me sitting out here in the headquarters, I can only have the joystick in my hands in
Yeah.
the group conclave, which used to be once in 4 months. So
Yeah.
once in north, once in south, once in east or west. Uh, but otherwise, I was flying by the seat of my pants. And uh, while there was a lot of excitement and the teams were working, but they were working at times with difficulty. And
Mm,
I often used to hear, look, this person is not aligning, or that department is not aligning, and this is not happening, that's not happening, but things are happening still. Now, if we have a system which can do what I said earlier, imagine the pace of this activity
yeah.
would have been much faster.
Yeah.
So, what would have happened because of that? The growth could have been realized earlier,
Yeah.
customer satisfaction could have been
Yeah.
realized earlier, the productivity could have happened earlier. So, in a way, I would say that by adapting this philosophy and using the right tools, wherein this philosophy of OKR gets integrated on this vehicle, which can carry it forward,
Yeah.
that is the perfect recipe. Only
Mhm.
OKR in isolation may
Yeah.
not be that efficient. Only the tool or product in isolation may not be perfect, because then it's a garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So
Tell me more
put
about the
together.
way. Yeah, put together. No, the vehicle. You said use the word vehicle. In real world, what does vehicle look like? What did you mean? I know vehicle means constant communication is one aspect. You have to keep communicating with everyone what you mean, what the rabbit on the moon is. What did you mean by vehicle? Like, uh,
So,
mhm.
so there is. Have you heard the name of the car called Ambassador?
Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah,
And have you heard the car called Maruti
yeah,
Suzuki?
I remember. Yes, yes,
Have you heard of the name, let's say Ferrari?
yes, yes, yes.
And then you have now the EVs.
Correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now it's the same driver
Yes.
and the co-passengers, and you have the same expertise, and you get onto different vehicles. So which will take you faster to the journey?
Of course, Ferrari will. Even
And,
though it's burning a lot.
maybe the fastest may even burn less energy.
Yeah, must be an EV, some sort of an EV car.
So you
Yeah.
said it. So what I'm saying is the same purpose. Go from destination A to destination B. But if you are clever and smart,
Yeah.
you can choose a vehicle which is adapt to that kind of situation.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, in today's world, you see, Ferrari was the fastest car up to point A, but now the EVs are taking over even in 0 to 100, and they're less costly.
Yeah.
They can take you faster with lesser fuel and lesser price of the vehicle. So
Yeah.
what is happening is that in our context, the different tools are coming and they're all good. did humongously good to the people. But with the innovation and new experiences and new trials, people have come up with different vehicles. And OKR is one vehicle which started in late 90s by Google. But now, those OKR philosophies, when they get amalgamated with certain interesting tools, certain interesting way of onboarding, so these are becoming Ferraris and Teslas of the world.
Mm.
So that's a subtle difference. What people can feel once they take the ride.
Yeah.
Now, to learn driving a Ferrari, if it is given your hand with the turbochargers and all, you might crash it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we
Yeah.
have to learn,
Yeah.
we have to onboard, we
I
know
agree.
how to. And once you do that, you start enjoying it. Initially, when I took the steering, I was extremely uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So, or you go into an electric vehicle. Initially, you are uncomfortable. You say, "Oh, I'm just getting out, but I haven't even stopped the engine. What's happening here?"
Yeah.
So, our vehicle is improving, but then the leadership, the owner who has to take that ownership of that vehicle has to first start believing in it that yes, it is beneficial to me, it's going to do good to me, it's going to be good to the environment, it's going to take me faster to my destination. So that's what I'm trying to say, that if I had this vehicle when I was building the scenarios of energy, and if I had this vehicle when I was, uh, orchestrating the three championships and the growth conclaves, uh,
Yeah.
it could have been more rapid, faster, and could have yielded more growth.
Yeah. Wonderful. No, no, this is a great analogy, especially the example we gave. If you don't know to drive a Ferrari, what are you going to do with a car like that? If you don't have the sophistication to understand the complexity, why
Yes.
did you pay that kind of money? And also the EV analogy, it is very quick. I'm thinking if you have more visibility on how people in your organization are working, your decisions are quicker because you have visibility on where you can fail or where you can succeed or what is working and what is not working. So amazing. So you gave me examples from your scenario project which you did, 2007 you're sitting and imagine 2023, and you gave me example at Suzlon Corporation. That is amazing. So I also see that you're part of advisory board member of O2 Power is supposed to be the fastest growing platform in sustainable solar, wind, and hybrid energy space. So tell me more, about this and how OKR like approach is helping you here. I know you're a board member here, and you're seeing people work. Is there some scenario where you can quote from your experience here about OKRs? I know you put it beautifully. Every aspect of OKR you've given through examples, just picking your brain because this seems to be a very hot and upcoming company here in from India in this new trending space. So can you share some thoughts on that?
So O2 Power is the fastest growing RE platform, renewable energy platform in India. We started about 3, 4 years back.
Yeah.
It's funded by two very large P funds companies, Tamasek,
Mm-hmm.
Singapore,
Mm-hmm.
and Eco Partners of Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
I would attribute the reason of this fast growth to the leadership of the company,
Mm-hmm.
the leadership at the board level, and the way people in the company are leading
Yeah.
their side of the business and the projects.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we as board, invest a lot of time in a word called alignment,
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
building trust.
Mm-hmm.
Alignment doesn't happen easy.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have to pour in uh, our uh, technology, technical energy, at the
Yeah.
same time, emotional energy.
Yeah.
Put up the systems and processes and the governances,
Yeah.
and most importantly is the communication. So you take any organization, these are the basic binding forces and the basic catalysts which takes a company forward. And it's extremely
Yeah.
important. While the two companies are working on the same product in the same space, you find one company has really moved and zoomed forward where the other company is lagging. I would say one big subtle difference is that how the companies are led and how the people in the company are treated and become, instead of engaging the back, how they get engaged with the heart.
Yeah.
So so in this alignment piece, when I'm talking about, communication becomes very important.
Yeah.
Common vision, common objective,
Yeah.
common goals, and not only that, but also measuring them, in a very efficient manner. All these things become very important.
Absolutely.
So,
Wonderful.
so whether someone is using OKR or someone using other methodology, but the bottom line is that these alignment, collaboration, trust becomes so very important. And what is seen is that why are we talking about OKR? Because we have seen that some of the world leaders,
Yes.
they have adopted this philosophy. So
Mm-hmm.
why should a company maybe do their own research, et cetera, et cetera? Why don't intelligently see and debate and discuss in the management team and see that what is it that good it can bring into my organization? And how can I use OKRs to really take our company fast forward?
Wonderful. So you mentioned your experience working with a renowned author. He was coaching you. Tell us a little bit about that. What you learned from him, a few nuggets. I know you're very charged up about leadership, and what kind of lessons did you learn from him on alignment and goal setting and things like that? Can you share a little bit about that?
The first thing, as a person, I realized that once you are driven, uh, time is a relative
Correct.
substance.
Yes. Once you're driven, yeah, yeah.
So he would enter the office at morning 7, and he's landed from, let's say, Dallas at 3 in the morning, and he's absolutely fresh,
Wow.
uh, in his 70s. So again, age is relative. It's all
Yeah,
is out here.
yeah.
His energy level, was fabulous. Uh, he always, at least in our coaching and also in the group, says that you should be very clear. What is your objective? What are you chasing?
Yeah,
And he was also quite number driven.
yeah.
And and so he was heavily focused on that one or two or three things that you want to achieve.
Mm,
uh, Also, then he said that your strategy is not enough. Strategy is only, you have taken the morsel, you brought it here, but you will still remain hungry if it's not going in and you're not chewing it well. So he
yeah.
says strategy is useless, strategy is important, but how do you ensure that the strategy is delivered? And in today's world, that strategy delivery is not possible unless until each and every individual is fully aligned. Because, in today's competitive world, you can't have 12 people where the job can be done with four. In fact, the company is optimized to have three.
Yeah.
So these aspects were are simple, but often, they need to be driven in different ways, and he would create different kind of scenarios around that and try to drive the point home. The fourth thing, which I was very, in fact, he has been talking a lot about that, is on digitization.
Mm,
In today's warp speed world, which is changing, with a flick of a second, at times we are not able to catch up.
yeah.
And for that, you have to have technology, you have to have the IoTs, you have to have the SCADA systems, you have to have products like what we're talking about. If you can uh, delegate your mental work to certain tools so that you get a space out here to do certain other important stuff.
Yeah.
So the products like this, which can align, collaborate, and create trust in because of the transparency, create agility, create resilience. If you have to change certain strategy overnight, through these tools, you can translate that into all the team members.
Yeah.
So use technology was his another mantra. And I heard one of his session maybe 2 3 years back here in Delhi itself. He was here, and uh, very simple guy. In fact, he too is from IIT BHU, and very simple
Wonderful.
guy, and done wonders really. I'm very
No.
proud to have associated with him for a period of time, and yeah.
So you not only took those lessons from him as a mentee, but you are now actually implementing that vision using Joy of Performing tools. You've co-founded Joy of Performing, and you're living that dream, bringing technology to people who want to align their teams, and I think you're pacing up growth for leadership here. I really like the statement you made that strategy is not enough, execution is gonna, they say culture eats strategy for breakfast, but I think execution also eats strategy for breakfast. If there is no execution, with only culture and strategy you can't do much. And
Yeah.
execution is driven by culture, and the culture your is OKR culture. You're measuring what matters. And last week I did a podcast with a serial unicorn founder. He talks exactly like you, and his emphasis is exactly on, like what CK Prahlad said, on goals, and uh, razor sharp focus on how you'll meet the goals, and in scenario planning, when it will work and when it will fail. So today, I think the most amazing concept you talked about was scenario planning. Actually, I know we've done many podcasts on OKRs at Joy Performing. Nobody talked about scenarios. Can you tell more about this so that the listeners can understand what did you do in scenario planning? I know you have a lot of teams working on a vision several years ahead, and you have to bring them together. But in a common startup company, how can they do scenario planning? Let's say I have a company on machine learning, and I'm building solutions to improve performance of software. What is a scenario planning for a company like that? How can they build a scenario? Yeah.
So let's take 3 years. We go behind 3 years, right? 2020.
2020. Yeah.
Sure, some large companies would have done a scenario planning. What is the future of work in 2030 or 2025?
Mm,
Somebody, or let's say talk of 2015
yeah.
versus 2030 or 2025.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody would have come up with an idea that there can be AI inducted into the system in a big way where a common man can use it.
Mm.
Was that a certainty at that time?
No, it was not. A lot of things were uncertain. How and computation power, and whether or not people will come to work
So,
or they work from home. Lot of things. Yeah.
so when we were working on the energy scenario, solar was a huge uncertainty. We said it can never
Yeah.
beat coal. I
Yes.
was in, yes, I was in the Brussels in the EU. We had certain discussions, and there was their 10th anniversary of their association. So I asked them that when will solar energy price will be the same as coal? He says,
Yeah.
"Sir, you're asking a wrong question. You please ask when will the solar energy price will be the cheapest."
Mm. Wow.
So in 2015, so we in our scenario, it was a big uncertainty. We were not sure that it will come or not come in the mainstay.
Mm.
Today, it is a certainty it has come. Now, in 2015, AI might have been a big uncertainty.
Yes.
So people would have painted scenarios without, and one can paint 2 3 4 5 different scenarios.
Yeah.
So if a large company has to make some investment,
Mm.
which can be impaired because of AI, then it becomes a dead investment very soon. So large organizations, they do these scenario planning. They are doing a lot of scenario planning on net zero. What happens if it is this much temperature rise, this much temperature rise? So all these things keep happening in the world. And this is one way where you give yourself a chance to talk to the future. So
Mm.
scenario planning is a two-way process. You are in goal setting, you're just talking to the goal, whereas in scenario planning, you're talking to the future and future is talking back to you. So that
Mm.
is something interesting. But if I come back to the subject here on the OKRs, so I right now, have three companies which are in action, and I'm talking of the startups. One is, of course, JOP, which is adapting the OKR naturally, uh, and we see the benefit of that. We have Vellum. Also, our entire teams are using the platform. And then recently, we started a company called Carbon U-Turn, uh,
Mm.
where I'm the co-founder, and it is on climate, and we are trying to accelerate the journey to net zero. Again, we are thinking of, while it's a very small team, still start right from the beginning to adopt the OKRs. Do we see a difference? Answer is yes. Do we see a huge difference? Answer is no. Why? Because in a small company, there are just few people where you can touch and feel, and
Yeah.
whereas a large company, it
Yeah.
makes a humongous difference, I can say.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
still,
Mm.
in a small company, the good benefit what we find, that there is alignment. People see transparency, which leads to trust. People are able to collaborate in a better way. And I would say, since I understand and I invest a lot of my time and mental energy on the emotional well-being, mental well-being, by putting your strategy and sprinkling it down to the whole team, it could be only 10 people team or 15 people team, you create a space. It helps you in your mental well-being.
Yeah. No, no, absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
helps
And
you in mental well-being. It helps in stress management because you feel subconsciously that your goals are now very clear and people are, biting into them, and they become a common shared goals. Your adaptability and resilience goes up much faster because in today's startup world, the things are changing like anything.
yeah,
So the people also see you can make changes out here, and people can see those changes and stuff like that. And of course, it is effective communication. But
wonderful. Hmm.
but it can succeed or it can be useless. It all depends on the leadership.
Yeah, wonderful.
That's where I.
Such an Yeah, such an amazing way to round up this whole conversation. My biggest takeaway today is, if you want to be on the fast lane EV track, not even the Ferrari where you're burning a lot of fuel, but an EV track where you're saving fuel,
Yeah.
and in growth in your company, then your leadership has to be sold on OKRs, and you want to implement OKRs all the way top down, funnel it, and it takes some amount of effort to understand that and implement it. But once you adopt it in your work life, it just accelerates your pace of growth. And that's an amazing takeaway. So this is to all leadership who are who are doubtful, who are on the fence about OKR. Go for it, and be the OKR champion and push it in your organization. You'll see wonderful changes. So on that note, Rakesh, we had this amazing power packed hour. I learned so much from you. Thank you so much for that. Is there any last thoughts, any takeaways for the audience from this fantastic career you've had? And you're co-founder of three new ventures here. I'm extremely excited about clean tech space and the wellness space especially. So any last thoughts, any takeaways for the audience as we close the conversation?
Well, I will only leave the audience with a question.
Mm-hmm.
And that question is that why majority of very successful companies are following OKRs? Search it
Absolutely.
out.
Yeah.
research it out, find your own reasons. And if you have interest or find it uh, intriguing or have any questions, get back to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hit us up. A joy of performing. The website is getjob.com, and please write to Rakesh. Rakesh, what's a good way for people to reach you if they have questions about OKRs? What is a good way to access your portal?
So we have a very vibrant website,
Mm-hmm.
getjob.com,
Yeah.
and our people are extremely responsive out there.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, you're most welcome. You are welcome to connect with me on my LinkedIn account.
Wonderful.
And from the website, you can also see the other three co-founders. We have
Yeah.
a dynamic CEO called Gaurav Sabharwal, who's very, very passionate on this subject. We
Yes.
have a super CTO called Vibhu
Yeah.
Satpal, very successful guy. I'm very proud of him, the way he has built this complex but very simple product, doing
Yes.
complex job. Let me say like this: very simple product, but doing complex job and
Absolutely.
yielding good results. And the third one is Dr. Grant Crow.
Mm-hmm.
So Grant is a doctorate in the SaaS platforms, and he lives in London.
Yeah.
And again, he has contributed tremendously in development of our platform. In
Won-
fact, they also aligned with some very, very interesting and competent people around the world. And we have taken a lot of feedback apart from the experience what we founders bring in, but it's not stopping here. We have got some extremely good inputs which have been coming, and that has been included in our product and our way of uh, onboarding people. In fact, we have some very interesting onboarding programs which can accelerate the journey of the people for the adoption uh, much faster.
Wonderful. I can't wait to look up about OKRs, and I have a podcast coming up with Vibhu. I'm very excited. But this was the best OKR podcast I have done. I spoke to so many people about OKRs, but today's session is like the best session, and I can see why Gaurav has you as the co-founder, because you have explored so many aspects of OKR. Thank you so much. Rakesh, for this amazing hour, for your immense and valuable insights in guiding the workforce. You not only talked about the numbers and metrics, you also talked about mental health and well-being. You're also champion of clean tech. You're a very well-rounded person, I must say. Thank you so much, and please do come back to the podcast again. We love to have you.
Thank you very much, Vida, for your kind words. You indeed have the knack of taking out the best from the people. And I really enjoyed talking to you, Vida, more than anything else.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rakesh. Wonderful.